Okay. Hopefully everyone can hear me. But everyone, welcome to this Fire Americas tournament by HGA. And as usual, this is sponsored by Gamers Guild AZ. So today we will have something a little different with I will be sort of showing my games and speaking through my own games while I play, and then hopefully getting through my games quickly so we can cast whatever's going on. And if I sort of lose early, I'll drop out and cast going forward. But we'll just have me this week and the little square on the side, no second caster. But yeah, I think this will be a fun one. I am going to be playing a no unique Basira, basically just my deck that I've been using for Basira with the uniques out, and then just a few, obviously three more commons. It seems to do relatively well. So we shall sort of see how the games go overall. We don't have a ton of people registered, which it kind of seems to have been the case since World, but we have some high level players. I think it'll be a fun one to see. And hello to Runefolk and Aaron in the chat. Okay, so I think let me switch over to the game screen and we can sort of, I think we should be getting started in a minute or two. Okay, so we have our first match. Okay, it looks good. Yep. So just waiting for the opponent to join. Yeah, we'll see what they're playing. But for anyone who isn't sort of really familiar with the no unique format, obviously in Altered we play 3 uniques per deck, but this format doesn't allow the use of uniques, which actually is really, really fun to play because the cards are obviously like really dynamic enough without having to specifically play uniques. So we'll see. Okay, so our opponent has now joined. Okay, so let's jump into the game. Obviously, this is rapid fire, so we have about 10 minutes per player, which is a decent amount of time to have to play fast, but also being able to sort of take your time a little bit more compared to some of the sort of 5 minutes per player ones that I played out before. So we are playing against a Traced, which is really, really good and no unique. I actually played Traced a few times now in the turn by turn ones that happen on Mondays. If anyone hasn't tried those out before, they're honestly a lot of fun. Being able to sort of jump on whenever you have a chance and make moves. So just looking at the cards that we have in hand, yeah, we really want to get the ramp. I don't think we need 2 tiny gins in this case. It's a bit sort of overkill. We'll keep a Seringa for draw. Chiron into Tiny Gin is honestly incredible on turn 1. And it's also helpful that we are playing second, so we can sort of see where they play out. Typically, Traced is most likely going to be a little slow in turn 1, just trying to get their activations of Traced as best they can by getting stuff into reserve. So it should be a good opportunity for us to get the double move. Ideally, I don't want to boost the Tiny Gin so I can play it out in the next turn, but kind of depends what they play out. Okay, so they play an Icebound Pass, basically so that they can get a Dragon counter when they exhaust cards in reserve. So I think this is basically easy. Play the Tiny Gin. And in this case, we honestly probably don't even need to go with the Chiron per se. So we'll just go with the Seringa. So we have the Seringa for draw next turn, and we have the Tiny Gin for the ramp. So we get the double move, which is really, really great way to start out when you're playing against pretty much any deck. But in this case, it's good to get ahead because once Trace gets activated, the deck kind of becomes very difficult to play against. Okay, so we have Hunger, we have Vanguard, and we have the Chiron. I don't think we need the Hunger. It's going to be a dead card for like three turns with the ramp, but I don't think it's really necessary at this point, honestly. So let's see what they. Well, I guess we'll be making the first move. So we'll definitely play our Tiny Jin onto the companion side to guarantee that we get the ramp. And then also just because that side is in mountain, so we want to get that advantage. Obviously, the sort of expeditions don't line up very well for playing out the Seringa, but that's fine. We can play out the Chiron and the Tiny Jin and then sort of have that for reserve next turn. I don't think there's any reason to use Basira's boost here, just purely because of the fact that we're most likely going to play Chiron. Okay, they are playing Kilonahida to exhaust the resupply so they can get the 1 count on Icebound Peak, basically trying to get out that Dragon Shade. I don't think they'd be able to get Dragon Shade this turn, so we're most likely safe going Chiron onto the hero side and just giving it its own boost, and then also giving it the Basira activation. Basically, what that allows is we have 3 on each side, so kind of difficult to beat us out on both sides. Well, very difficult with 2 mana, and then also difficult to actually stop the double move. There obviously are some cards that they could play out that could stop us, yeah, but that's basically that allows us to get the double move. So now we will be 3 moves ahead, which is sort of in a really good position at this point. There's still two counters or 2 activations away from getting their Dragon Shade, so I don't think I'm really that worried about it at the moment. The expeditions line up great now for Seringa with having both of them in forest. So overall, I think we're in a good spot. If we look at our hand, yeah, I don't particularly think. Okay, the removal could be good for the shade. So I'm thinking maybe we probably get rid of the Vanguard. I love Vanguard just because it's sort of great stats and also being able to remove fleeting at the same time. But in this case, I really don't want to remove fleeting on the Seringa, like maybe the Chiron. But in this case, I'd rather have the sort of flexibility with the Tellurian Skater to use Scout or just use it straight for its 3 mana. And I want to keep the removal for the Shade. Okay, so they get that second activation, which is really, really good with the drone. They pay the Dalim to exhaust us at the moment. And then they'll be able to get a Moth. In general, honestly, like as much as these are great to play out together, I think they're a little bit too far behind. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. They get out the shade. We have the removal for the shade. It's obviously great to have at this point. We don't. I guess my only worry would be whether they have a 1 mana in hand or not. But I think we might be able to avoid using the removal, yeah. So if we sort of play out the Chiron onto the hero side, we don't overflow our reserve. We boost up itself and we use the Basira activation. So getting us sort of 1 ahead on that side. If they don't have anything to play out for 1, then we sort of, okay, so they play out for 1. It gets a boost. If there's 2 more exhausted cards reserve, I get 1 boost. I honestly haven't seen that card a lot, but seems helpful in this case. And now I think we honestly keep the removal for later. Yeah, I think we do. So I'm just going to play out the Skater. It doesn't really matter whether I play it out as Scout or not, but we'll just play it out. Which will allow us to move 1. They will move 1. Sort of happy with the trade with us being this far ahead at this point. And then we no longer have to worry about the shade. They overflow their reserve. So we sort of end up equal on resources. The only thing we have to worry about now is with them exhausting due to Nylam, and that being their sort of strategy, probably with their deck. Because of one mana ahead, we might not mana. Maybe not this turn, but maybe the next turn. Okay, so we have the Vanguard, which could be good at this point, allowing us to get rid of fleeting. And then we could, if they had to, I guess we can play out first. I think we would play the Sarenga to guarantee that we get the draw. Or we just honestly remove fleeting. We don't even need the draw. Yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of the Blade Dancer so that we have so that we sort of are able to use the removal. Honestly, removal probably not that important how far ahead we are, but sort of just leaving it open in case something surprising in terms of uniques. Luckily, with the Skater, the Vanguard, we're able to sort of remove 3 mana costs, which is helpful. If I play out the Sarenga and then the Vanguard, it still leaves me up with the dual grid to sort of potentially close it out. They're going to use the Nylon to get a Moth using the Dredger drone. So I think this is pretty easy play into the companion side. Sort of go 1 over on the character they already have there. We now have the potential for the draw. If we have to, we can do removal. Okay, so they can play cards from reserve that are exhausted, which means this allows them to play out drone, which is most. I don't think they want to play out the con, or however you say the name right now, because they don't really have a ton of cards to discard from reserve to boost it up. I think we go one side because this is an interesting one, because if they go with the drone, we can do removal and win both sides and finish the game. Which honestly is probably what I'm going to try to do. This might seem a little greedy, but it's fine. So we'll do like this. We want to put the boosts on. Yeah, we want to get 5 on one side just in case they go with the Lacan. We sort of guarantee we at least get the one move. And if they play out the drone, we use the removal. Okay, so they play out the drone. Use a boost to resupply. They're really not worried about the traced activation with this deck, clearly. We will see. They spend the boost. They get a Flutter Mart. So they can't really use that. They could have 1 mana from hand, but like honestly, if we go the removal on the drone, and they're GGing. Okay, so I think that was a good one. Hopefully there's some games still going on so we can cast some of the others. But I think that was a good one. We played pretty well. Let's go see what else is. Oh, we're already into game 2. Okay. So let's join game 2. Clearly, because of the number of players, we're going to sort of move really quickly, yeah. I know they're saying they got the most. I thought they were talking about their resupply into the Flood of Mart. I was going to say, I don't think even there was probably many 1 manas that they could have resupplied into. So the next game, yeah. is against Aragorn, who's really, really good player that I see on ladder quite a bit. But let's see when they join. Oh, I need to share the adventure pass link. Adventure pass link. Let's get that for everyone. And share my own stream, which is not on delay, so everyone can get information they shouldn't have. But anyway, it's fine. Okay, so then we are on to game 2, yeah? I can't remember offhand what Aragorn typically plays, but obviously in No Unique, we tend to see some different decks, so we could sort of see anything. And they are playing from France very late. We had a few players from France last night as well. Really sort of committed and playing late into the night, which is cool. Okay, another traced. So Basir is obviously generally good into traced because of Aklat and sort of the ability to exhaust the reserve. This is a little awkward because we don't have 1 and 2 mana to play out. So for me, it's either I jump straight into the skater just to sort of guarantee one side, most likely, or I go cuckoo, see if they play into it. The biggest worry with cuckoo is removal. Trace doesn't have a lot of removal that they could use at 3 mana, but nothing on the board. So I think I'm just going to play our cuckoo. And the reason for playing our cuckoo is so that turn I can potentially use the skater on it and get the double boost and the ramp. Not necessary because I feel like Cuckoo's good enough already instead of covering one side and stopping your opponent playing into that side too much. But it is obviously helpful if you can get the ramp. Okay, so we get the Vanguard, which is good with Cuckoo, especially because when you play it, to come back to reserve at the end of this turn when you're on 4, and you play it on 5, and then at 6 you can get rid of this fleeting again. I don't think I want to keep. Maybe I do want to keep the helping hand in this case. We could play Searing. No, I think we'll, because then we get 3 cards and we can do the ramp. Yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of the helping hand. I want to try and get the ramp off, even if it's not possible. Even if it ends up not happening, that's kind of okay. Okay, so they play out the Keelon, which is obviously sort of great in terms of the stats in the mountain water. The Seringa sort of really works well, yeah. If we lose, if they play... Okay, so I honestly think at this point I'm just going to do the Cuckoo because I want to try and get the ramp out of it. So we will just do this. There's no way we'll block that side. It's talking about the hero side, but there obviously is a chance to play another 1 mana and take it. Okay, so we get the double move, which is great. So we will be 2 ahead now. We will be able to ramp with the Cuckoo, which is helpful. In this case, probably mana the Seringa because I only have mountain on one side. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. It's always interesting on that. Like some folks think do the Cuckoo first by itself, but then I usually like to play out the Cuckoo again. The Aklat's obviously amazing in this matchup. Right now, they don't have much in reserve, so I'm not really worried about it. Maybe next turn, the turn after. So because the only sort of card in the reserve is the Sniffer, which is useless in the hero side, it can obviously be used to still augment cards and stuff like that. But I think we just play the Cuckoo on the side that they'd want to play the Sniffer. And they're going to sabotage, which is fine. Never mind. And the reason why I say that is because the Vanguard is obviously amazing onto the hero side. We Vanguard onto the hero side. We remove leading from Cuckoo, and then we'll give Cuckoo the boost. So we have the 3 on one side. Maybe we could have just done Vanguard because Cuckoo would have boosted itself if another character was played, but it's okay. So they're trying. Okay, so they can play out these 2-1s, and well, they can't, sorry, because Cuckoo's going to get the boost. So they're a little bit stuck, yeah. The cards that they had in their reserve, obviously not great for sort of playing out onto the hero side, and then not great for playing out onto the companion side. The augment itself, I don't know what else they have for 1. Just at this point trying to get traced activated. Okay. Let's see. So obviously physical training is great at this point, because of the fact that we can overflow our reserve and get another ramp. I don't know if I would want a ramp again. The question in general is whether you want to give up the Acolyte at this point. I don't think you want to, because they could sabotage the Vanguard, and then we don't have much to do, and the Acolyte could come in useful stopping the traced activation when they play out the frozen delivery. So I'm going to just get rid of the Isambushi over here. See what they play out. Probably be frozen delivery to get the resupply. Yep, to get that 4th counter on traced. I think at this point I'm going to play Acolyte to stop them from getting traced activation. That's why in this case, in this matchup, Exhaust is a lot better than Sabotage, because Sabotage would give them the activation anyway. Frozen delivery again. We are going to use the physical training on Cuckoo. And then we are going to give Basira's ability to Acolyte, and that allows us to exhaust another card in their reserve to also stop the activation again. They're basically down to 1 card left, and I think that is just GG's. Yeah, it's very difficult playing Basira into Traced. Sorry, difficult playing Traced into Basira is what I mean. It's a really difficult matchup just because of the sort of tools that Basira has available. Okay, so I think we can cast some games for a little. So let's go to this AQZ versus AQZ match. It seems like it's almost done, but obviously really great to see Reloader playing Zen. You always hear the whole comment that sort of Zen is just weaker Sigismar, but sort of good to see and playing into Sierra. The Moonlight Jellyfish sort of appearing a lot in Sierra and a lot of Axiom decks these days. Really great tech in terms of getting the boosts and being able to sort of replay it after the first time it's not fleeting. Even though I will say, though, it is difficult in general when you get to this point in the game when Sigismar sort of needs 1 move. And the reason why is just because Sigismar, a lot of the times, can play out a lot of low mana cards to sort of after you. And then most players play Sandman and keep it as one of the last cards that you play out. And that's always like a great way to sort of surprise the opponent by having it be the last card. You can figure out which side of the side of the field to play it. So it allows you a lot of flexibility, and that's why it can be difficult, especially obviously being this far behind. But being behind when you're playing against um, any sort of orders hero can be difficult to come back. But obviously, Sierra has the ability to sort of get a lot of stats on the board. We have 444 on the hero side, and then obviously 233. But there is GG's in the chat now, so I think that's it. Yep, and they're using the origamium, which is really really good when you're playing sort of these characters with Ascend. I've said this on some of the other streams I've been on. Ascend is a great mechanic. I don't think it was probably expected to be as good as it is in Sigma as well. But great GI with Zen, being able to get that boost every time. So, and that is the game. Cool. So GG's to Freeloader for winning that one out. Let's see if we have any other games going. Okay, so we have Robot Beast versus Jabuja, who I played against in the last game. And we have Moyo, which we're seeing a lot of these days, playing against Traced. Traced obviously has got the activation, has a very full reserve at this point. The Moyo running a little low on card advantage here. Like they have the 8 mana. Difficult to know what sort of Moyo deck this is. Always thinking like immediately, is it a hostage deck? The Traced obviously has the Lucan with a bunch of stuff in reserve, but you have to worry when you play into Moyo that there's going to be removal in this case. So it's sort of trying to hold out playing that as quick as you can, as long as you can. And it's helpful because Moyo typically plays sort of, oh, Ruin, it's exhaust Moyo. Okay, that's helpful, thanks. Because Moyo plays sort of a lot of larger spells, you can after you as best you can to sort of play it out. But now they've played out their mana down to 3, so we won't be seeing the Luca in this turn, which is fine. We'll see what the Moyo can play out. They're sitting with Flood of Moths in their reserve and then a Rime Frost. Playing with Nylums, yeah. Makes sense. I think I saw someone play Nylums last night as well in another game. Seems to be a lot of different variations of Moyo coming up these days, which is cool to see. And then last night in the USA, well, US time zone AWOL, there was also like 2 souls as well. So kind of good to see a lot of the newer heroes getting played out more. There's a lot of talk sort of early on, just before Worlds, like why aren't any of the new heroes being played? Like, are they just not that good? And I personally thought it was just because mostly everyone's playing what's already optimized, but just with some of the better cards, and then they'll experiment a little more. You had a lot of the players who were sort of trying to qualify for Worlds, playing out what they knew worked rather than sort of getting very spicy with it. So the Moyles obviously created a bunch of mods here, which has allowed them to sort of get really good stats on either side. And we have another Flood of Moths being played out. The Flood of Moths versus Flood of Moths matchup. This is fun to see. Who can get the most Moths on the field? Oh, Freeloader, that's awesome. Yeah, the decks look fun. I actually want to try them out. And I obviously goes completely against my typical game style because I'm mostly an aggro player, but they look really, really fun. Okay, so Moyo sitting on 9 mana. Yeah, the Traced is on 7. I'm assuming. Oh, we're getting GGs already in the chat. I guess. Did they draw badly, or it's difficult with the mana they have and the sort of higher mana cards we can at least see in reserve at this point? Maybe. And I assume when this game's done, we'll move on to game 3. So we will see what we play against. But once again, for everyone who's joined, this is the NUC Rapid-Fire Americas tournament by HGA, and it's sponsored by Gamers Guild AZ, which is obviously the sponsor of the Adventure Pass and the prizing. But appreciate everyone joining. If you don't know who I am, because I actually don't even think I introduced myself at the start, my name is Argon. I'd call myself a competitive player in Altered. I've been playing it for a while now. And if you want to follow me or sort of see the streams I do, I will share my Twitch in the chat. So feel free. And tomorrow we have the 400 ELO plus tournament run by the SP team, and I will be playing that. I'll be playing it on my Twitch, probably playing it on my Twitch, but I will play on delay, not like this where I'm live. So I think that will be really, really exciting to see. And I assume we'll see some of the players who have been playing in this tournament today. So check that out as well. So even though we had GG's in the chat, we are sort of having the game play out at this point. I am assuming the scouting of the Abbey is in order to sort of get more cards in reserve here and be able to play out the Lucan. I know we sort of spoke about the fact that this is exhaust Moyle, so you've obviously got to be careful that that's what ends up happening. Yeah, but the Moyo only has one card left in hand. And they passed. Oh, because yeah, they're out of mana. So there we go. So we see the Lucan who is being played from hand, so it's not even the one from reserve. I think they would have 7, so they would have to sort of get rid of everything, in order to. Yep, I assume they would have liked to leave the Lucan for next turn, but this is going to get them the move on the water on that side, block the opponent, and that's obviously a great turn for them, being able to sort of move twice, tie it up, and potentially try to go to arena. But they are now in a situation where their card advantage is pretty much gone. One card in reserve, that card in reserve needs other cards in reserve to sort of get boosted up. So we'll see what they draw out here. I would be very interested to see if they're able to figure out a way to get to arena. Okay, let's see what the trace plays out now. They use the trace ability. Let's see what they put into reserve. Once again, probably have to be careful about the exhaust sort of stopping you if they're planning going for the Lucan at this point. They put into reserve the Icebound Pass. So that could be helpful if they're able to activate it quickly. I don't. Okay, they play the Nylum. So they can exhaust the Flutter of Marts. Now they only have 4 mana left, so it kind of depends what Moyo has. The way this sort of zones line up is a little difficult for their Leviathan. Obviously helpful on this side, but you don't block the opponent, so it's a little scary. Going, oh, we have another Nylum coming down, and there gets exhausted the Lucan, and they will also get their own Moth. Now it's probably tricky because playing at the Icebound pass is not going to do much. Oh yeah, they play Mechanical Training. That's a great card at this point. They'll be able to play it from hand and then from reserve, unless the Moyle is able to also exhaust again. So this will allow them to play out. They don't have any. Okay, so they have the Studious Acolyte, who is not really going to do much at this point. Oh, and they pass. They're unfortunately not able to activate the Nylum at this point, but that was really close. Considering they were GGing sort of the turn before, and it's a lot closer than I thought they even thought it was going to be. But yeah, Robot Beast sort of pulling out the win here with the Moyo, which is great to see. So let's go back. We should start game 3 now. Yep, and we are playing against Freeloader. Impossible to start tournament. Okay. So let's play. Freeloader, thanks for leaving the stream. I honestly should have played on delay, but I didn't really want to delay the casting or speaking to the tournament, so it's all good. Okay, so we are playing in Zen, which I think could be it'll be difficult, but might not be the worst matchup overall. I don't think mana eruption is useful. Generally, the trades will probably be bad. I really like being able to go Chiron and Tiny Jin. Yeah, the Suha could be useful. I, in this case, don't really like the idea of playing out Suha in turn 1. I like doing it a lot with Basira, but in this case, they're because of Ascend and all that sort of stuff, and the characters they have, they could probably double move. So I think the move is to sort of go the Tiny Jin, yeah, on whatever side, doesn't really matter. And then sort of see what they play out and be able to use the Chiron to either just block one side, like I did in the game before, or the first one, or if I really, really have to get the double move, boost up the Tiny Jin. I really don't like doing that. Okay, so in this case, if we want the double move, we kind of have to do the Tiny Jin, or we just block one side. The thing with that is if we put the Chiron, boost itself, and use the Basira, we're going to be 3-5-3. With their Ascend mechanics, I guess they could use Ugly Duck. We also have to worry about Sabotage coming out next turn. So do we just... Yeah, I think we're going to go greedy. Let's see what happens. So we will just sort of boost up the Chiron and then... Sorry, boost up the Tiny Jin and then use Basira's ability on our Chiron. This most likely... Yeah, it's kind of what I was worried was going to happen. But anyway, so they get double move thanks to Ascend. We are now going to be behind in card advantage, but up on mana. Not a great start. Probably would have just been better to play out the Chiron on this side and at least get the one move. At least get the one move either into one move or sort of get no moves into one. But I don't think this is sort of a bad draw in general, because we could play Chiron into Suha. If they have Sabotage, I just don't see them playing at Spy at this point, but maybe because I'm behind in card advantage, they might go that sort of route at this point. My worry with playing with getting rid of Chiron would be I end up in a bad spot mana if they had to sabotage me. But I kind of think I'll be okay. Let's see. Because of Zen's ability, they sort of ascend on the hero side. Helpful that they did not do any sort of sabotage things to us at this point. So I think we just play out the Chiron, yeah, let it boost itself. They will still be moving on that side, which is fine. But we currently are moving. We will not use Basira's ability. Sort of try to hold that out as long as you can if you play Basira. And they play out their messenger onto the companion side. In this case, I play out Suha, which the reason why I'm playing out Suha is because I'm trying to end up in a situation where if they play another card, it's going to be sabotaged. So for them to play out another card, they've got to think a little bit about it. And obviously, Ordis has a lot of one mana, so they could have something. But okay, so they pass. So that allows us now to get to equal footing, which might seem like a waste of Suha, but it's really not. Getting on equal footing against Ordis is really, really critical in most games. And as much as we're not in forest anywhere, which is not great, we sort of can play out the Suhaya as an after you, and sort of see what they play out. So we're sitting on the same card advantage in this case. I think we play out Suha on this side because they're only in forest, so it blocks them a little bit with a 1 in case. I wonder if they're playing Skybound Odyssey. I haven't really looked at a lot of Zen decks, so we'll see. But if you're playing Skybound Odyssey, might be the turn to do it, because it costs 5 mana, and then you can play it from reserve next turn when you're the first player. So in this case, I think so I'm going to play out, and you might wonder why, but I'm going to play out the Fire Rabbit on this side. I'm going to do the fleeting, so we're not going to end in a great card advantage situation, yeah. What this allows me to do is if I want to use the physical training, I can use it on the Fire Rabbit to block. I can also use it on the Suha if they try to take that side. I'm kind of okay with either. At least the physical training is going to give me draw, and then I can not mana next turn if I don't want to, sort of thing. So if we think about this situation, we are now we are 1 behind on the hero side. We are like 2 behind on the companion side. They're also ascended on the companion side, for 1 card in hand. So the kind of best option in terms of where we're far behind, where they have less chance of moving, would be the hero side. So we just go hero side. I don't think there's any reason to try and be like greedy with this. We go hero side and the Suhat. They obviously could have removal in this case. Drawing into hunger is not great at this point. But we'll see what they play out, yeah. Okay, so they don't do anything. Pity we didn't have a way to remove fleeting on Suha. So the Suha's gone, but we're still tied up. They're going to have 2 cards in reserve. So they're 1 card up on us. Not a huge deal because you have the card draw. Obviously, this isn't ideal because of the characters. We obviously can play Seringa into the hero side, which is helpful. I don't think I'm going to keep Hunger in this case because by the time I use Hunger, it's going to be on small characters and it's probably not going to be super impactful. If they had Sabotage, I could see them using it now to get rid of my physical training, which would put me in a pretty rough spot at this point. Let's see what they do. Okay, so no Sabotage, which is helpful. They could obviously still Sabotage next turn, considering we don't have any characters on field at the moment. I think we just go the Haven Seringa, which blocks that side. Obviously, that's the side that they're ascended in, which is annoying for us. But playing it on the other side is not really going to do much. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that's what they would end up doing. So we play out the physical training. Maybe we draw into something for 2. We'll be able to draw before we decide on the Basira boost. So if we get nothing, we just use the Basira boost. Yeah, so in this case, we use the Basira boost. This kind of gives away information. I know sometimes it's probably just better to not use the Basira boost so they think you have something else in hand, because exactly why. Because if they play out removal, then you're in sort of a bad spot, right? So now we fall sort of two behind. Don't really have anything to play in hand. We gave away that information. So not a great turn, but we'll sort of see the way this plays out. They get hard draw as well. So let's see what we get. Okay, so the Acolyte would have been incredible earlier. The question in general, yeah, is whether so we kind of have to be greedy because of the fact that they can't move. If they move, they win. So it's basically to me more thinking about what's the most impactful at this point. And the only concern for me is the expeditions, like the we're in forest, we're in water, they're in mountain. So the Acolyte looks great because it blocks out the one side. But I really, really want to be able to play out the dual grid because I feel like it's our most chance of trying to stop them from winning at least one side. So being able to play out 3-3 and then the dual grid, if we get away with that, then next turn we can play out Suha if they don't sabotage and use Vanguard, and we can double sabotage. Well, sabotage this turn and sabotage next turn. So I think the answer is to get rid of Acolyte at this point. Okay, so I kind of have to play the Acolyte first. Sorry, not the Acolyte, the Suha first. Just purely because I can only use Vanguard on another character. The problem we're going to have here is this is obviously susceptible to another license withdrawal. They've obviously used one. So they play out the Origamium. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Anyway, and they ascend that side, which means we're most likely to see something come out on that side. I am going to boost up each of them. And the reason why is just purely because I would like to win both sides. But yeah, we sort of sit in water. This obviously makes you susceptible to license withdrawal, but then when you think about it, they were sitting with 2 cards in hand. They only have 5 mana. So if they use license withdrawal at this point, yes, we're probably going to be bad for us. But we don't really have much of a choice. Okay, so they play out the Aegis Templar, which we can just Duel of Grit, which at this point is great. It's going to leave them with a token, which is not ideal, but it's kind of the only choice we have. And they could have a 2 mana in it. Okay. Well, that's GG's. So I think that sort of one play we made earlier probably sort of put us in a bad position, but overall good game. Like, it was a fun one. Tried to keep up the whole time and not fall behind, which I think helped being a little greedy in the start, but the card advantage sort of caught up. But GG's to Freeloader. That was a fun game. Let's see if there is who's still playing at this point. So Aragon was okay. So we'll watch this game because we haven't watched Gabziel yet. So let's see what we have. Yeah, so we have Trace versus Kojo. We played against the Trace player earlier. We have not seen the Kojo player play yet. It was actually interesting to me last night's AWOL. I didn't see Kojo. Maybe we just didn't cast Kojo, but welcome back, Freeloader, and good game. It was a fun one. I feel like I was a little greedy in the start with the Tiny Gen, which probably put me behind, but it was a really, really good game to play out. It's always difficult playing against Ascend mechanics and trying to figure out which side to go and where to put your characters. Okay, so let's see. So they played out the Ratissa, who is obviously great in this situation with the number of boosts. The Kojo obviously wants to try and move both so they can get caught back up. But unfortunately, the Isambushi is sort of sitting in water, which isn't ideal in this case. Frito, I think it's counterintuitive, but probably putting second boost of Tiny Gen was... Oh, yeah. Yep, agreed. Okay, so I guess this game just depends sort of what the Kojo has in hand and if they're able to block. It's honestly difficult at this point because the Trace has still 4 mana. They can still activate the Trace. Playing that into Ishinbushi to that side obviously doesn't feel great, considering that is not in water. But yeah, there we have a block on that side. I feel like even if Gabziel's able to play something out to get even ahead on one side, it's sort of going to be blocked out. Yeah, Runefo Freeload is proving that maybe Zen isn't just the weaker Sigisma. Oh, okay. It has a 0% win rate into Sigi. I guess that does proves what I just said. Oh, okay. Yeah, we have the Grahams coming out, so this is pretty much a GG at this point. This is why you try to get ahead of Traced early, because if they get activated, things can go really, really well. Yeah, Siggy is the best. Siggy, completely agreed. I don't know if you guys saw me having a sort of heated conversation in the competitive channel in the Altered Discord the other day about the fact that I don't believe Sigismar is tier 0. I do think it's extremely good. And maybe a little bit of a like nerf to it is okay, but I don't think it sort of has to be like banned to the ground like some of the other heroes. And apparently a lot of folks disagree with me. But anyway, close that one out. Let's see where we are. Okay, so we're gonna play Runefolk now. So before we do that, I just want to see sort of where we're sitting at the moment. So we have Freeloader as the only unbeaten player. We have me sitting on 2-3, Robert Beast 2-3, Runefolk 2-3, Aragon 2-3. Okay, so let's jump into the game. We are playing into Sierra. So playing into Sierra, yeah, we probably, yeah, Runefolk says don't hunger me in the chat. Yeah. Let me just, I will try not to. Okay, so let's just think about the starting hand. Yeah, so we have Cuckoo, we have Suha, we have Tiny Jin, we have Haven Seringa. This is really interesting because Sierra uses reserves, so we could play out this sort of. And am I frozen on stream? Oh, I'm not frozen. I'm frozen on my side. Okay, so I don't think dual grit is necessary right now. Cuckoo could be good. Cuckoo also means I can't probably. Or we Cuckoo, and then next turn we Tiny Jin into Suha. And then we can have Suha. Yeah, and then we can have Suha up depending on what they play if we really want to sabotage it. So nice part with Suha, especially when you're the second player, is being able to sort of see what they play out. Sometimes a player plays out something really important on turn 1, you're able to sabotage straight away. So in this case, they play out the Foundry mechanic, which is probably them trying to play out a sort of landmark next turn. So we really, really want to stop that. So I'm going to play Suha into this side to block them, give it the boost from Basira. And if they don't have anything else in hand, we sort of get the 1-0. Maybe they get the 1-1. There we go. And this is obviously the Horus Boris Incaster, which allows you to sort of return cards from your reserve to your hand. We pass, and we'll get the 1-1. They get to return something to hand. And we'll be able to get rid of the Incaster. So unfortunately, we are not able to sort of stop the landmark activation. We stop it for this turn at least, but not next turn. Okay, so just thinking through this a little bit. I don't. I'm trying to think if I play out four. So four could be Suha, it could be Cuckoo, like the two of them together. It could be, yeah. I don't really want to play out like one, and sort of blow out my reserve at this point. If we use the Blade Dancer, I think we just get rid of the Blade Dancer. I don't know. Blade Dancer is sometimes great, but most of the time it feels weak. I just feel like I don't really have a lot of other ideas on the common slot. I think we're gonna just play our Cuckoo onto the side. See what they play out at this point. So I think we boost the Cuckoo. Yeah, I think, or yeah, I think because we can block them in forest, I'm going to do this. I'm going to boost the Cuckoo. And then I will put the Basira boost on the Fire Rabbit. So at least we block two on that side. There we go. So we get the double move. I'm assuming this next turn we are going to probably get the Bug Hive because they're probably going to use the support ability for the Bug Hive, which having Cuckoo out's kind of helpful for that. Oh, that's great. Mana Eruption is amazing at this point. Unfortunately, no way to give the Cuckoo its second boost unless they play something down, which is not ideal, but you can see. Okay, so yeah, we're going to have the Bug Hive, which we will immediately get rid of with the Mana Eruption. I don't know. I always sit and act like I'm choosing, even though at this point in the game, it doesn't really matter. No reason to play anything else out, yeah, because I don't want to overflow reserve. Ooh, so this is good. I love the Vanguard in this case because you can use the Suha later. At the moment, if I went that route, I would overflow my reserve. I don't think we have to be that greedy at the moment. So I think I'm just going to Cuckoo onto the side. And then we can also just Tiny Gen onto that side. Oh, we have another Bug Hive. So many Bug Hives. So they give me the boost, which is interesting. The reason why that's interesting for me is because I can remove fleeting next turn, and then I can get the ramp, which is obviously amazing. And we get the 1/1, which is kind of the goal at this point. We still, obviously, Sierra can get really out of hand later, especially when they have a Hive. But the Cuckoo is really helpful in this case. So now we could Vanguard, we could play Tinygen, and we could play Suha. We could use the remove fleeting. We could remove fleeting multiple things if we really wanted to. So I think we get rid of the Chiron, yeah, so we can do that if we really need to. And then we can ramp if we overflow our reserve. Maybe not as important now as earlier in the game, but we are one behind because of not being able to use, well, because of using the Mana Eruption. So they have double Bug Hive now, which there's literally no reason to use Suha. They're not going to likely have anything in reserve at this point. So I think, honestly, we can ramp with the Tiny Gen and then we can use the helping hand and we can ramp again. We can get caught up at this point. Or we just keep it for later. Because we're going to end up in mountain on that side, which will help. We're going to play our cuckoo straight away next turn. So I guess the question is at this point, whether how far I'm ahead, do I go greedy or not? We still have 4 minutes. So if I just get rid of fleeting on cuckoo, however I do it, I'm going to overflow my reserve. Not ideal. So I think in this case, we go with the tiny gen, yeah, so we get the ramp. The Basira ability doesn't really matter. And then I think we just use helping hand because it will allow us to sort of not show our hand with the Vanguard yet. And that will now allow us to ramp with the spare card. At this point, the Suha is probably useless because I think we're trying to win it out this turn. So I think we just get the 1 mana from the Tiny Jin. We then get rid of the Suha. And now we're in a great situation. Oh, so this is great as well. I think Seringa is great. We don't mind if they get 2 and we just get 1. So I think we're trying to just play out one side. We could 3-3-3. Okay, so the Seringa looks good, but I kind of want to play this out in a certain way. I want to play the Cuckoo this side, and then I can play Vanguard this side, which allows me to sort of get the 4 in there. And then we have the Skater to sort of do the last boost. So the reason why I'm playing double-sided is not because I want to win both sides, but more just because I'm trying to make it difficult for opponents sort of to decide where to put everything. They're going to split their bugs up now, which is not ideal. Like, obviously, earlier with Cuckoo, it was great, and the bugs are going to be 4-4-4. So if I had removal, it would be so nice right now. But we just straight away play the Cuckoo on the side. This is the difficulty. This is why Hunger would have probably helped. I don't think I got rid of Hunger, but I'm actually only running 1 Hunger at the moment. So I think we play out like this. Yeah, this is rough actually. Splitting probably wasn't a good decision in this point. I don't really think with the 4-4-4s coming down each side, it's really, really difficult no matter what we did. So I think, yeah, this is not good situation. We don't really have much of a choice. We can't really do much. They will just double move. So the only thing we really could have done at this point is probably Hunger would have helped if we had got another mana eruption to get rid of another half. But it's difficult as well, saying about it getting out of hand. There's the boom, right? So the boom is to obviously get rid of the Cuckoo at this point. The boom is what I was kind of expecting to be held or potentially using into Hunger. So if we draw Hunger now, it'll be really, really good. Obviously, playing Hunger when you're tied up means you're most likely going to just go to Arena, which is fine. We can get rid of that. Oh, and no Hunger. Not great. So I honestly think this is probably GG's because there is not much we can probably do at this point, considering they're just going to 4-4-4 on each side. A good game. Honestly, really well played for someone who apparently is playing, well, new to Sierra. Not first time playing Sierra, but Hey, Trax, happy Thursday. How's it going? Okay, so we kind of play our cuckoo. I don't even think it's going to matter at this point, but I think we just should. We have the removal, which is obviously really helpful in this case. Um, you just got off work. How's the altar today? Altar's good. I am playing the tournament and then sort of casting around it, sort of thing, which has been honestly a ton of fun. I am 2-1 at the moment, so let's just play the skater onto the side. You might be wondering why I'm not playing the cuckoo. I just, at this point, cuckoo's playing a 1-on-1. Even if it's going to get a boost, is probably not enough. And they're going to play another bug. Yeah, this is going to be a difficult one for us, but it's fun. So we can play out, get rid of the fleeting on this one. Put the boost, give the boost to Vanguard. They're just going to play out the Foundry Armor on the side and get the other bug, and then I think it's GG's. Yep, that is GG's. Put me on a win streak until played AQZ. But no, good game. That was a fun one. It's a good deck and no unique, in all honesty. Actually plays it really well without uniques, which is good to see. I feel like there are a few decks like that. Traced is also one of them. Let's see if there's any other games going on. Anything going on in the chat I have to deal with? Nope. So the only game we have going at the moment is Freeloader versus Aragon. That is exactly how you play Sierra. And I only play one hunger, which I always go back and forth on, and I did not draw that one hunger. I would have loved to have had it. I know you had the boom, but when you played it out, I was like, well, now I hope I get it next turn, and it didn't happen. But yeah, it was a good game, well played. So what do we have here? So we have Freeloader playing the Zen behind at the moment, which is interesting. But they still obviously have 7 mana and 2 cards in hand. Unfortunately, the Gargoyle, it's obviously good on the side to block, but not crazy useful. Yeah, in fact, the boom's good, and obviously helpful. I've been like playing Traced a bit lately, and I know I didn't want to build the deck myself, and I copied one that didn't have boom or any removal, and I was like, I need removal at this point, at least some. Okay, so Aragon has played out. They have 4 mana left. They've used the traced ability at the moment. Obviously, you have the Sap Sniffer could play out with the Haven's activation and boost itself. Ooh, okay, so we have the Aradith, yeah, which is really, really helpful to probably get rid of the Gargoyle. Yeah, so no unique traced is like I haven't played it on ladder. I've played it in the no unique turn by turn. It seems really, really good. I know Insane, the other player, also plays no unique traced in tournaments. I think they played it in AWOL last night too. Traced, yeah, really, really good. I don't think you need the uniques, and some of the commons are so good that by adding 3 commons, you're sort of in a good spot with your deck overall. Okay, so Freeloader blocks. Well, actually, because of the send, they're leading on that side. They obviously still have the tiny gel, really, really useful in this case, considering sort of everything is under 3 stats at the moment. And yeah, we go. So we probably have the Sap Sniffer come out. It's going to boost itself, and the tiny gels, obviously, that's a great target. The question would sort of be whether the traced is sitting with one more, like a 1 mana card in hand. They do have a few. If they have another Sap Sniffer and they play it into the companion side, that would be the win at that point. So it's kind of play out and see what they have in hand at this point. And they pass. So we are going to go to the Zen player, Freeloader being one behind, and Aragorn, the Trace player, sort of still needing that one move. Their card advantage is not as good at this point. Well, actually, both of them are bad. Zen sitting with the 2/1/1s. This always, when I play Sigismund, sometimes I get really worried when I'm in this case because you play some low mana creatures, you could really get a terrible draw. But most likely doesn't need to mana. Yeah, doesn't need to mana at this point because of those low cost characters. The two troopers are great because both sides they're in mountain or water. Not great in terms of blocking forest on the companion side. So Trace plays out the Haven, being able to sort of do like an after you. Obviously, was hoping to not resupply into restocking station. Great card, but maybe not at this point in the game. Using traceability now, which should be able to help them get something into reserve that they can use the double Haven boost on. The Frankenstein, it could be really great. You could boost it. You could then activate the Reef and sort of remove the Trooper. I don't know if you want to use it on the Trooper at that point, and maybe you hope for at least something with 2 mana. And there's the Frankenstein. So the Frankenstein, I'm interested to see if okay. So they were most likely playing it out now with the double Haven boost. I'm assuming maybe not the Reef. Maybe they just get the resupply with the Haven. Yeah, so they got the resupply. Getting into the Keylon Elemental is great because of the sort of zones that you're in over here. But then we have the Order Spy coming down to get rid of it. We were chatting on AWOL's cast last night about whether Spy just really doesn't feel the same as it used to. Like it just doesn't feel great when you play it out, and I kind of feel that way as well. But obviously, in some cases, when the opponent's sitting on low cards, it's a really impactful card to play out. So they're able to play out the Amelia Earhart. Obviously, never great playing out Amelia Earhart from hand, but in this case, it's incredible to play out from hand. They play out the Cinder Trooper, and that is a GG's at this point. So Aragorn is taking it out with the Traced. And that is that game. So let's see where we're sitting now. So that is the last game. And I think that means no one is unbeaten anymore. I think. So let's jump into our game, which is against Gabziel. And I know like a lot of folks typically drop out after 2 losses like I have at the moment, but honestly, I feel like tournament players where you get the best experience playing out. Sometimes on ladder, it's just very random. So I just play it out most of the time and just see how it goes. Unless I have like really, really triggering losses. Okay, so I can't remember what Gabziel played earlier, but no, that is not the right deck. Don't want to pick a unique deck. For anyone who's sort of just joining, I know typically we cast all the games. I wanted to play tonight, and I was kind of the only caster for the team who was available. So we agreed that I'll cast my games, and then sort of when I'm finished up with my game, jump to the other games. So hopefully everyone's enjoying this format. It's a lot of fun for me, obviously. And for those who don't know me, I'm Argon, and this is the sort of stream for the No Unique Rapid Fire Americas tournament by HGA and sponsored by Gamers Guild AZ. For those of you who don't know what the No Unique format is it's sort of like a community run format at the moment, which is based on not using the 3 unique slots, but instead replacing them with commons. And it's really, really interesting and really good. Like honestly, incredible to play out. Uniques are fun and love them, but it's honestly a lot of fun and a lot more strategic in this case. You don't really get surprises the way you do with uniques, where sometimes you're like, oh, I've got this game in the bag, but I like, oh, suddenly they play a unique that's really good, but this is honestly a lot more fun, a lot more strategic sometimes. Even though I do enjoy uniques. Atrax, you said thanks for the stream. It's been enjoyable so far as a new guy. Just started collecting a few months ago. That's awesome. Honestly, love to see new players to the game. So welcome, and I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. So I'm playing into Kojo. Kojo plays nowadays some bigger creatures than they used to play. Though I don't know if I want to keep sort of a mana eruption in my hand for too long. Cuckoo is incredible into Kojo purely because of the fact that you can put it on the side that the token's played, which allows you to sort of get that guaranteed boost, allows you to use Basira's ability on it, allows you to be able to sort of ramp next turn. So I am going to keep a pretty heavy hand here, and I'm going to keep 2 Cuckoos and 1 Suha. It makes the curve a little weird, but hopefully we'll draw something out. So I'm going to just play Cuckoo onto this side so that we can have it there for next turn when the Buddha's played out from the Kojo. Atrax, so I know you said you're new. What heroes are you enjoying playing at the moment? My favorite, which obviously you can tell from what I'm playing, is Basira, and then I play a lot of Sigismar as well. And I've been sort of playing Trace lately. So we get the Isambushi, and they play out the Tracer, which is obviously great in this case because even though I'll get the boost, it's sort of, they block me on that side. So they will go 1-0. Got a big sort of Cuckoo for next turn sticking around, which will get another boost. Obviously susceptible to removal, but like I'm kind of okay with this case because of the fact that the card advantage with them playing our Tracer, because it's fleeting. So I'm okay with it, honestly. I don't, this is a lot of Suhas. I'll keep 1 Suha. I would love the Cuckoo for a later turn. And then we have, with the 4 mana curve, we are sort of able to pay out the Skater to get the 1 boost. And because they're in Forest on the hero side, the Suha is great for blocking that out at this point. So I think that's just what we do, yeah. We just get the boosts, and we don't give it the Basira ability because we have the Skater to come out next turn. This might give them pause about playing something out. Oh, they play the physical training. Yeah, so this, obviously, the physical training will get sabotaged by me. Oh, okay, so interesting to play out on that side. I will be able to sort of get the double move here. So even though we fell 1 behind, this allows us to get this move now. The nice part about this is now we're overflowing our reserve, but with the Suha, which is mostly useless unless you can remove fleeting once it's sort of gone to reserve. So when Cuckoo comes back and has the 2 boosts, this will allow us to ramp. And ramping into Kojo is great. So this will allow me to get rid of their physical training, which obviously was great for them and helped them get a little bit of card draw. I am now going to get rid of the Suha. Obviously, if I knew that I was going to get some way to remove fleeting next turn, like Vanguard or the Helping Hand, I would keep it, but it's fine. I could obviously keep removal, yeah, which is probably what I'm going to do, just in case. Let's get rid of it. I do not know what this means that they're writing to me in chat. Oh, good luck. Okay, so we are going to play our Cuckoo onto the side because we want to deal with the Buddha. We'll get a boost from the Buddha next turn. We have a removal. If they play something with 3, we could probably going to play the Skater, let it boost up the Cuckoo. If we get a way to remove fleeting next turn and we can ramp again, that's great. But at this point, I think we're good. For now, at least. So they play out the Sun Wukong, which is awesome. We can boost the Basira, sorry, the Cuckoo. I don't think there's really any reason at this point to use our removal because we can just Skater, and then the Skater can do the Cuckoo, which will block that side. Freeloader, have a good night, and thanks for joining the stream and playing in the tournament. Atrax, you said I haven't played actually. I'm learning how to play as we speak. However, from my collection, my favorite heroes are Navenka and Blotch and Tejan. That's awesome. Those are good choices. Navenka is awesome, and always interesting to see the sort of the roles and whether they go the way of the Navenka player. If you ever want to want help learning to play, you can reach out to me on either my Twitch or Discord. I can share my Twitch, and then if you're looking for me on Discord, it's just Argon, which is kind of like in line with what my Twitch is. I am more than happy to sort of help you learn at some point if you want. Obviously, you can learn in your own pace, but it's one of my favorite things to do, honestly, to teach folks how to play. Just realized I full screened this. Anyway, like I said, Buddha comes down, so we get the extra boost. Obviously, susceptible to removal now as well, but it's fine. It's a free card that's just sitting there. So let's see what they play out. We have the Tiny Jin to play on that side. Probably going to Cuckoo the other side, which is not going to be great for them. We don't know where to remove fleeting on the Cuckoo, so potentially they use removal, but I'm probably just going to Cuckoo on this side as well. Atrax, you said yes. Yes, thank you. The scene in my area isn't popping as much. I found out about the online version this week. Yeah, so I live in Jersey City, like near New York City, and the scene is also not popping. But it has been really fun to play online. Mostly, we have like one local sort of game that goes on once a week, but most of my gameplay is on online, like most of it, and it's a lot of fun. So there's BGA has its quirks. It can be a little frustrating at times, but if you think about the fact that there are some TCGs that have really sort of terrible simulators, this one's great. We run tournaments like this. There's tournaments almost every single day of the week. There's the no unique tournament that I'm casting and playing in right now. There's the AWOL tournaments. The Monday one is European time. The Wednesday one that we had last night is sort of the America's time. So there's a lot of stuff to play, and it's a good way to get started. Okay, so I think we're in a good position, yeah, we are sitting a mountain on the companion side, which is great when we have a tiny Jin. We can play out both of these, and then we can use the physical training on like twice, which is really, really good at this point. So we play out the tiny Jin. Difficult situation for them. Obviously, I think their Pathfinder is great. They're playing it on that side, which makes me think they're probably going to play removal. So to deal with them potentially playing removal, I'm going to play Blade Dance on this side as well. And this is a little greedy, trying to sort of get both sides. But because I know I'm going to play out a physical training twice, having two characters to play it on either side, if they decide to get rid of my Cuckoo, is great. So they play out the physical training. I am just going to physical training the Blade Dancer. So in case they do removal, and we won't have to use Basira's ability just yet. We can keep that for next turn. So at this point, they play out removal, which not much they can do it to other than I'm blanking on the name now. Dual Grit, which is a good card. But at this point with Dual Grit, all they're going to do is remove the Blade Dancer, and then I'm going to boost it up. Okay, so use Twinkle Twinkle. Didn't even remember Twinkle Twinkle was around. So Twinkle Twinkle will allow him to sleep. I'm just going to boost up anyway. Their right answer in this case was to sleep this side. Because of the fact that I can just do this. But it's fine. So we will play the Blade Dancer. Yeah. Now, the great part about this is because the Blade Dancer is seasoned, it is going to keep those boosts. And I'm going to give this one to Cuckoo because Cuckoo's going to stay around for a turn. So we have a really, really boosted up hero side going into the next day where we only need one move. We are going to have a really, really boosted Blade Dancer who we can play from reserve. So we're in a good spot, yeah. We have the Tiny Djinn, no need to sort of, there's no need to ramp that turn. We're already ahead in 1 mana. In this case, I like this hand in terms of the fact that we're sitting with 3 1-manas. I don't even think, I don't think we need a mana at this point. If somehow they get 2 moves and we end up going to the next turn, we will be able to hopefully get ramped with the Tiny Djinn anyway. And we'll get back to where we were. But 8 mana is a sort of good spot for Basira most of the time, unless you have a lot of cards. HA said, I was browsing a shop decently far from home and saw the starter decks. Oh, that's cool art. I thought I've come to find out the shop wasn't getting more altered. I bought all of their last 15 packs of each now. Or not. Yeah. I actually, the actual, and I'm not just saying this as an ad or anything, but the actual store that sponsors the stream, Gamers Guild AZ, is where I order my stuff from. And they are halfway across America away from me. So I 100% get what you mean. That is, but the game honestly is a ton of fun. It's really, really, really good. So I'm sure you'll enjoy it and find folks to play with, but there's a massive online community for you to get involved with. Okay, so the only thing they can really do is play out the sleep. So this is GG's at this point. Yeah, the playing online with your own cards is really, really cool. Also, I'll give you an example. This last set, I got 3 boxes and I was missing like the rare Suha, which I really, really badly wanted to play in Basira. And I'm able to go into the marketplace and find the card and sort of buy it and play it online straight away. And then you can get the printing, you can print your cards that you own online and get them delivered to you. So overall, it is really great. It has some interesting things that sort of other card games haven't tried before. So sort of has a good future as long as it keeps getting funded. Okay, so they pass. I think nothing to worry about. Yeah, we win this one out. So that was a good one. GG's in the chat. So that's the game. So that makes us, I can't remember how many games we play now, but I have 2 losses and that would be 3 wins, right? Yeah, so 3 wins and 2 losses. And the only other game left is Runefolk and Aragorn, which seems like it's close to finishing. Runefolk leading with the Sierra again. Nice to see. So we have Trace versus Sierra. Trace has a lot to still do. A lot of tools in their hands. The Frankenstein into the Reef, into the Jammer is great. Being able to discard the Jammer next turn if you sort of get there and you've overblown your reserve. So in a good spot overall, but obviously being 2 behind and your opponent needing to move 1 is not great. We have a bug, which is obviously going to get boosted up by the brass bug hive. I don't know why I always call that landmark a weird name for some reason. Oof, and we have another reef coming down. Obviously, reef works amazing into these bugs. It's going to remove it as well. And I think the Sierra might be in a bit of a difficult situation, yeah, which is interesting to see considering we joined the game with them being sort of 2 behind and, well, sorry, about to win. And they play out Hooked. The Hooked is great in terms of being able to draw a card. The question is, did you draw a 1 mana card at this point? Because opponent can just play out Keylon Elemental, They could play out their Frankenstein. They could play their Frankenstein. Okay, yeah, Kilo Elemental is probably the safest thing to do. If they, yeah, so they could have got Sap Sniffer, which could have won this and won, but clearly they didn't draw 1 mana and they passed their turn. So now we go to the players being tied up, which the interesting part about this is the trace player can either discard the jammer and be able to sabotage, or they can sort of keep it till later to be able to use the Frankenstein. I personally would do it to get rid of Hooked so that they don't get any more card draw. We'll see what they decide to do. They get rid of Jammer. Keep a Reef. You can use Frankenstein on the Reef later, which is great against the bugs. And they get rid of Hooked, like I said. So for anyone watching, typically, even though it might be like, oh, do you want to get rid of the character with stats? In this case, it's you really want to stop your opponent from drawing, because drawing obviously gives them the ability to sort of get more answers to whatever you're doing on the field. With the mana sitting as high as it is, that obviously becomes really important because they can play out quite a few things. So let's see. Okay, so the Trace player does not. Oh no, sorry, Aragorn did not mana. Okay, so we have a bug coming out from the Brass Bug Hive. That's obviously a 3/3/3. And there's another Brass Bug Hive. So this would have been great for them to have earlier when they played against me, having both of them. But they obviously get the 2/4/4/4s, which is great in this case to at least try and win one side. The Traced can play out Frankenstein and Reef one of those tokens, which is obviously great at this point. Using the Trace ability to get a second one would honestly be GG's. They get the Gibble. Gibble is amazing in this case. They can use it to sort of activate the Reef, remove a token. They can use Frankenstein to activate the Reef, remove a token. And that will put them into a situation where they could potentially win both sides. The playing out the Frankenstein is only going to cost you 2. Your opponent's sitting with 1 card in hand. Okay, so this might make it a little more difficult because now they're going to be sitting on what, 14, 14, 14. So the question is there a line where they can figure it out this turn, or do they just go to arena? I don't know. Ooh, maybe with the grams. I would have to do a lot of maths to figure it out. I don't know if they would. It's probably okay. Maybe they're going for it. Or they're just doing. Okay, they are going for it. So doing the Reef, gonna remove a token on the companion side. Yeah, they'll be able to do it. Oh, removing the hero one. I think you can do this in this turn. Win both out. Play out the Amelia Earhart. Great card from reserve for 1 mana. 2/2/2. You could now play out the Frankenstein, use the Reef. Yeah, I think you just, I honestly think this is just, yeah, they were probably just going to go to the next turn, go to arena. Basically just choosing to use the Gimbal at that point because you want to keep both the Frankenstein and the Grams in reserve to use next turn. You don't really need to be super greedy about it and try and figure it out in terms of the math. I don't think it was possible, but I would need to sit down and think about it properly. Both players sitting low on time. Aragorn in negative, Runefolk in 20 seconds of positive at this point, and we have passes on both sides. So we're going to go to arena with very little time, which is obviously exciting to watch. The Sierra is going to start with 2/4/4/4s. Like said earlier, one of them at least is susceptible to the Frankenstein, which means they're starting with 4/4/4. I would still love to start in arena with a 4/4/4. So this one has been interesting to watch play out, and I am frozen on this BGA. Yep, okay. Aragorn, negative time. So hopefully they can play it out quickly. I don't know what the maximum time is, at which point this game will end and the lowest time player will win. And we obviously don't want to see the game end like that. So let's see what happens. Oh, they mannered on 9. That's really interesting because you have a 2/2 I guess because you have the traceability, you have chance to draw into more, so it works at that point. Ideally, if I'm the traced, I really want another Frankenstein, unless they've already gone through them. They have not. I can't see what they mannered. So we're probably going to have Frankenstein using the Haven to boost it to a 4/4, use the Reef to get rid of one of the tokens, and now you would be sitting tied up on the arena. You're obviously got only 7 mana left when your opponent has 10, but you have a lot more options. Oh, and they play another Hive. So that playing another Hive is great because they are now going to become a 5/5/5 bug. They also have the Foundry, which can play a bug. They have the bug if one of these got sabotaged, the bug up bag. So a lot of options in this case. Kind of difficult in arena, unless they have another Frankenstein. Oh, they do have another Frankenstein. Okay, so the other Frankenstein now could remove another one of the tokens, which means we're going to be sitting at 999 on one side, 777 on Aragorn's side. So this is a bit of a close one. Yeah, so I assume you play out the... Oh, and the maximum time's reached. So Aragorn loses the game. Pity we didn't get to watch that one play out. So that is the end of the tournament. Yep. So let's see sort of who came where. So we have the two AQZ players sitting in first and second. We have Freeloader in first and Runefolk in second. Really close tiebreakers to determine that. Freeloader sitting with 290. Well, both equal opponent points. Freeloader sitting with 293 opponent average. Runefolk with 283. And then I'm in third, and we have Aragon fourth, Robot Beast fifth. But yeah, I think that is all we have at the moment. So let me just switch on to the camera thing. Obviously, it would have been better if we had a second caster here. But yeah, everyone who joined the stream, obviously, really, really appreciated. It's been honestly fun sort of switching between playing the game and casting. So this was the NUC Rapid-Fire Americas by HGA, sponsored by Gamers Guild AZ. And I am Argon. I posted my Twitch earlier in the chat, so give me a follow. I will be streaming again tomorrow for the 400 ELO tournament. So I will check everyone there. And I hope everyone has a great evening. And Rune folks, thanks for joining. Atrax, reach out to me if you want to learn to play more or learn more to play. But yeah, hope everyone has a great evening. Thanks all.